Okay, so now that we've transferred our jacket from the lapel onto a different piece of paper and created a pattern out of it, let's do the same for our collar. Okay, so what you're going to need are 2 pieces of paper, about yay big. You want it big enough to be larger than your collar. Okay, and we're going to do, like I said, we have 2. We're going to stack them on top of each other because we're going to do 2 collars. We're going to do an upper collar and an under collar. So go ahead and take those 2 pieces of paper, line them up, and put them right under your collar. You can see through the shadow I have plenty of room to work. You don't want it too small. Remember, eventually we're going to add seam allowance to this as well. And like we did on the body of the jacket, we're going to pin these 3 pieces of paper together. Don't pin through any of the lines that you're transferring. And make sure it's not bubbled and it's nice and flat. Like so. Okay. Now, let's take your tracing wheel and go ahead and trace around this collar. So I'm going to start at intersection of E in the collar right here. So I'm going to start at E. I'm going to go up that collar notch. I'm going to mark exactly where E is. And then I'm going to do this outer edge of my collar. So I'll start at L. And I'll just follow the curve. Like so. Okay. I'm also going to do my center back of my collar. And then let's do the neckline of our collar. Okay, so the neckline of our collar starts here at center back. It goes through my shoulder. And now we're following the line that goes through G mark. Remember when we did a jacket, we did the A mark. Okay, we're doing this outer neckline, G, which then blends into the original and goes to E. So starting at K, follow that line. Following through the outer neckline and go right through to E. There we go. 2 more things we need to mark here. Our shoulder line, so that's where mark G is. That's a very important notch that we want for sewing our garment together. And then our roll line. So go ahead, remember that starts right here at this intersection of neckline and roll line, and it curves. So I'm just going to follow my markings right to that, like so. Okay, so go ahead, we can unpin this. Put our draft aside for a moment. We now have 2 collars traced off. Let's go ahead and perfect them. I'm going to do my straight lines first. Remember to square out at center back and neckline, and at the top of your collar as well at center back. This is a straight line right here. This is your point E, very important. Then we have a notch at our shoulder. Now I can use my curve ruler to blend all this. Okay, so let's finish. This is my center back. Let's also add in our roll line. just going to do that as a broken line. Now, this will be our upper collar. And we're going to add 1/2 inch around the whole thing, 1/2 inch seam allowance, except at center back, because this will be cut on fold. We don't want a seam. We don't want a seam at center back on this. Okay, center back, there's no seam allowance. We're going to put 3 circles in the shape of a triangle, which means cut on fold. Right there at center back. And then we'll add our 1/2 inch here. There we go. And then let's add in our grain. We're going to just go 1 inch off our center back, parallel to it, draw a line, and that is our grain line. And let's do the same thing here, except this is our under collar. It's a little different, so let's go ahead and start truing it. Now the grain line on here, we're going to square out 1 inch from center back. We're actually going to create a box back here based off our center back. And these 2 opposite corners, let's draw a line connecting them going through our whole collar. That is our grain line, because this will be cut on bias. We'll be putting on this one, this is our under collar, we're going to add a 1/2 inch seam allowance at center back, because we're going to cut 2 of these. So let's call this our under collar. And we'll add 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. Okay, now we can cut these both out. Alright, there we have now created an upper and under collar pattern for our jacket.